Hello and welcome once again to Breakfast All Day. We are so happy to be here with you. So happy to see you. I am Christy, and that is Alonso, and that is Matt.
Aloha.
We are in like week 9 or 10 of doing this remotely?
Something like that. When time meant something, yes.
Time is a flat circle.
Right.
So
today is Blarg Day.
you know what today is? Today is May 15th. Today is the day that the LA County stay-at-home order was supposed to have been expired. It's a hilarious idea.
How naive we were then.
Right? Dr. Ferrer, the county health official, the head of the health officials, has now said that
grandson of Jose Ferrer, right?
Right. It's indefinite, and it will certainly be through the end of July at this point. So that is our reality that we're living in. We know that wherever you guys are, you are in various states of returning to some semblance of normalcy. Here in Southern California, that's kind of happening. Like the beaches and trails are open now.
My backyard is open.
No, your backyard never closed.
Exactly.
Right? It's always tiki time at Matt's house. For those of you who cannot watch this, he's got his tiki drink in his backyard.
Yeah, so I've set up my workspace in my back patio, and normally I'm facing the yard, but I figured this was a better view for everybody than the stucco that's normally behind me.
Are you more or less productive in the backyard?
I am 1,000 times more productive in the backyard.
Really?
Absolutely. My wife we have a home office that she's taken over. She goes in the mornings, closes the door, and my son and I know not to bug her at all because she's at work all day. Stays in there. F you guys. She's gone. She actually has said that she gets more done being at home, though we haven't really started to pester her all that much. I normally am sitting in the kitchen, and I get bored, right? And it's very obvious that there's no one in the house. Sitting out here, there's just enough other stuff going on that I get those periodic minor distractions that then give my brain a rest, and then I go back to work. So I'll see the birds flying around. We have mockingbirds, as everyone else in Southern California does. And some other, there's a little black and white bird called a black phoebe, and crows, and I see them around. I see a couple of bees that came by my computer, and they were very busy helping me with work.
It's their time of year, Matt. It's spring. They got stuff to do.
Squirrels that run around, and Sabrina comes out and chases them. And I talk to the various animals like they are my coworkers. Hey, squirrel, glad you're working on that nut. Good job. Keep it up. And then I get back to work.
Have they made you a dress yet?
Not yet. Not yet.
It changes the whole concept of a water cooler conversation.
And partly because I don't sing so well.
Yeah.
So if anything, they would probably attack me.
I agree.
Right.
So Matt, we should begin, as we have been the last several weeks, with the really lovely and funny and thoughtful marquees that our listeners and viewers have been sending in from all across the country and around the world. Who do we have this week?
We have a bunch this week. Not quite as many as the last couple times, but we have a few. I'm going to share my screen so that we can all see these. Less funny ones this week, more serious ones. But that's okay.
What's that about, I wonder?
Can you see these?
Yes.
Okay. So this one is the Century Theater that I believe it's part of the Landmark chain. And if I'm not mistaken, they need to look this up. This is Anthony from, I think, Chicago. Let me just double check on that one really quick.
It says, stay healthy and safe.
Yes, stay healthy and safe.
It's a beautiful building.
It is a beautiful building, isn't it?
Really richly ornate details.
Yeah. That is in Chicago. Well, Christy, I think with these marquees, it's that Chris Rock joke that if the homeless guy's sign is funny, he hasn't been homeless that long.
All right, so this is the music box. This was also sent in by Anthony.
This is a very famous theater in Chicago.
Yeah,
Yes.
This is, they are to be continued.
And actually, they also, Music Box is also a distributor, and they are one of the companies that are still putting out new titles via streaming and doing revenue sharing with local art house and independent theaters.
Good to know. This is the second one that Anthony sent us. There's 3 more. He sent us 5. He was busy. This is the Pickwick, which is in Evanston, Illinois.
That's an amazing building. It's really
Right?
cool Art Deco
Right?
building.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
Look at the top of that.
It looks like City Hall in LA.
Yeah, dear coronavirus, it's time for you to go. Sincerely, the world. I definitely agree with that. Also notice the little person on the mask, in a mask, right there on the street. If you can look down towards the bottom.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, next. This is the Glen Arts Theater in Glen Ellen, Illinois. We'll be back. Until then, stay healthy. And then the last one from Anthony is from the Wilmette Theater in Wilmette, Illinois. To our first responders, a standing ovation. As the challenge rises, so do we.
Nice.
Nice. So thank you, Anthony, for sending those in. We've shown pictures from, this next one is from D.R. Martin, the Riverview in Minneapolis. He sent us some from this particular marquee before. This is an Audrey Hepburn quote. I believe in being strong when everything seems to be going wrong, that tomorrow is another day, and I believe in miracles.
Nice.
Nice.
Yes, very
It
nice.
was just her birthday recently, wasn't it?
Yeah, May the 4th is her birthday.
There you go.
Oh, that's why she's in Star Wars. Wait, no, she's not. All right, next up. These are 3 pictures that Daniel and NYC sent us. This is the Village East, and stay safe and healthy, it says. We look forward to having you back. Visit citycinemas.com for more updates. Also, like a lot of theaters, they're selling popcorn to go from 4 to 7 in the afternoon. So
Nice.
Good to know.
and we all know movie popcorn, it's a different taste. You can't do it at home. All right, so he sent us some marquees that are just from straight up theaters, not movie theaters. Webster Hall, New York, I love you.
It's a beautiful shot, the gorgeous black and white shot.
Yeah, that is a gorgeous shot. And then this one, the marquee of the marquee. Thank you to all first responders. Stay home, and NYC tough.
Nice.
All right, and then our last one is from Eric Robinette. This next one, it's the Little Art Theater in Yellow Springs. We wear masks for you, wear them for us. Good reminder.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you for all of those. Those are all amazing. And
Sorry, I meant to send you guys I saw one for the Plaza Theater in Atlanta, which my friend Kurt Holman wrote a piece about for Creative Loafing, and they are sort of going through different kind of ways to kind of do revenue sharing with distributors, and they've got a deal set up with Magnolia's streaming. Like if you subscribe to their service, I think they'll give 100% of the proceeds for at least the first month to the Plaza.
Nice.
And I think they've also started a GoFundMe page. So, that's in Atlanta. That's a theater that I like a lot. I used to go there when I was growing up. I did the stop of my Christmas book tour there. So, reach out to your local theaters and see how they're doing. I'm sure their websites will tell you like, hey, we're selling popcorn, or we're selling gift cards, or, stream these movies and we'll share in the profits, or, whatever it is they're doing to stay.
$10 candy bars.
Exactly. Like they everybody's got an angle now to keep things going in these times.
yes, and this sort of leads in perfectly to the first thing I was hoping to talk about today with you guys in our little news segment. And we discussed this a bit last week because Christopher Nolan wrote a piece for the Washington Post about how Tenet is going to open theaters back up again on July 17th. And there was his first person article. There's a much longer story in their business section, much more analytical piece about the realities of this and the real possibilities of this, and the various schools of thought from different distribution executives and exhibitors and whatnot. So Christopher Nolan wants Tenet to open theaters again. Warner Brothers wants Tenet to open theaters again. But
the rest of Hollywood apparently wants Tenet to open theaters again so that they can then follow suit.
They want Tenet to go first, right, and see how that goes. And, at this point, they would be the only game in town, and they could show it on every screen all day and all night. And it is a movie that is meant to be seen, as Christopher Nolan films are. He is so passionate about the theatrical experience, and I totally appreciate the sentiment behind that. But, as I was saying earlier, theoretically, we here in LA County, at least, are still under a stay-at-home order through the end of July. So I just don't even, and New York certainly is in the same situation where they're nowhere close to opening anything like a communal situation like a theater. So if you don't have LA and you don't have New York, are you really opening your movie? I realize this sounds like coastal elitism, but from a really realistic perspective, both culturally and financially, are you really opening your movie if you're not in the two biggest markets in the country?
Arguably, yes. I mean, that the Academy themselves, we talked about this, last week or 2 weeks ago, said that it's not just LA and New York where you have to open, right? For Academy consideration, they're going to be open to other, I mean, they've talked about they're relaxing that rules. There are other cities that may open. And so, that may be something that actually does happen, not to mention other countries, right? I mean, when you hear about New Zealand having really flattened the curve, they have, if not a giant theatrical market, they at least do have theaters, and they could, that movie could open there.
South Korea.
I will say there is a movie called Unhinged that the trailer dropped this week it's Russell Crowe in some pretty hefty road rage, that their press release said, this is going to be the first movie of the summer. We're opening July 1st, and we will be in theaters.
This, to me, feels like a microcosm of everything that's going on right now in the world of business and capitalism. This notion that it's so important that we reopen the markets and that we reopen, whatever, insert name of business here. And it's like, well, yeah, that is important on one level, but I think it's more important that we not create a second wave and a spike in new cases because we are ignoring the science and we're running out of the house before anything is ready. And it's like, sadly, there's two things going on right now, which is that the government has been sitting on its hands and not taking advantage of what they could have been doing with 8 weeks of everybody staying at home and flattening the curve and doing all that stuff. So we're not at a place where now suddenly things are radically different vis-a-vis testing or tracing or heaven knows a cure. So this all just seems like wishful thinking. This all seems like capitalism being the tail and the dog being actual human beings, it's like, I get it that everybody wants the movies to reopen and they want the marketplace, they want the free market to open again, but fuck it, I'm not leaving the house at this point where I don't feel comfortable with where we are in terms of the scientific approach to this, and I think a whole lot of other people don't either.
That was my next question for you, actually, was would you guys actually go?
No.
And I think no one loves movies. No. To borrow a Trumpism, no one loves movies more than we do.
Exactly.
No one knows movies. No one knows digital. So, I mean, if we are that gung-ho about getting back out there soon, I don't know. I mean, is the average person so starved for the communal experience and so desirous of entertainment? And
look what happened in Wisconsin this week, right? Right. Everybody,
people packing
suddenly
the bars.
You've got people packing bars, and that's not to say that's everybody in Wisconsin. The cynical side of me says that there's a class divide to how this disease affects people. There's plenty of people that are getting their mindset from outlets like Fox News. There, I said it, obviously. And, if this disease was hitting investment bankers the same way it's hitting people who work in the meatpacking industry, the whole country would be fucking closed. No question about it, right? And the people at the top that there are that 1% of the 1%, they'll probably make it through, or can afford to, it's not that they can afford, they're removed enough from everybody else that, it's kind of a moot point. Sure, open it up. It's not affecting people that I know, right?
Yeah, if you watch Fox News, they pretend like this whole thing doesn't matter anymore. But if you watch what Fox News employees are doing, they're all staying the fuck home. Right. So, there's two tracks of things that are going on here. And if we lived in a country that had a universal basic income, people would not feel the need to put their lives in danger because they have to feed their families. I mean, that's an important thing. I'm not downplaying the importance of, like, people are losing money, people are losing jobs, they're not getting income. That's happening to all of us, and it's happening to other people in much more drastic measures. But rather than be like, you know what, we need to have a government that provides healthcare for people and that provides, like a basic standard of living for people, but instead being like, no, we need to like roll the dice and get back out there and reopen the movie theaters. And, if grandma dies, well, that's the free market.
I'm going to tell everybody watching who thinks otherwise, don't at me about this because I don't really care. To hear from somebody who wants to disagree. But the idea that as a society, we are forcing people to work to get an economy going, that there is, when it is showing like that there is a healthy risk of people getting sick and dying, right? An absolutely viable, healthy risk that people can get sick and dying from going to work. That we, as a culture, have, that our government, and again, we get the government we deserve, that we are not immediately saying, you know what, we need, like, that there's even a question in Congress that they're not going to keep funding people to stay at home until this crisis has passed and there's some actual response and some actual either vaccine or some realistic way of moving forward. Like, it's just shocking to me, right? And it shows that, like, yeah, those of us have the money get to make the rules and fuck everybody else. And like,
they want people to risk their lives for an economy that in the good times was not any friend to them either. Like, if anything, it feels like this virus is like the world's biggest metaphor. Like you are not getting taken care of in modern day capitalism, where we've never seen such enormous wealth disparity in this country. But now you're not only supposed to go back to like start that engine again, but you could die doing it in a very literal way.
Right. We're living.
Or it's the world's biggest magnifying glass too. If you want to look at it that way, it just magnifies what was already there. Plus, let's say you do venture out to go to the movies, do you have $100 to go with your family to go see Tenet?
Sure,
and go get popcorn and soda. Like, at this point in time, do you have that extra $100 to go see a movie?
Yeah. Do you just spend the 20 to rent Scoob instead?
Fuck. Can't wait to talk about Scoob.
Bars. I mean, look, it's cheaper to drink at home than to go to the bar. People are doing that. So
anyway, we should move on because we've been talking about this for a long time. But I just wanted to bring that up. It's 2 months away. July 17th is 2 months away. I don't foresee the world being a vastly different place in 2 months, but we will keep track of this. And good on you, Christopher Nolan, for trying to fight the good fight, but this seems unrealistic. Okay, so things you can do at home. Hamilton.
Yes.
Right. So Disney was going to release Hamilton theatrically, a filmed version of the show with the original Broadway cast, in October of 2021. Next fall, it was supposed to come out. And they just announced that they are going to release it on July 3rd, just in time for July 4th. And so you can watch Hamilton. This was shot over a series of 3 performances in 2016 and is now coming your way very soon. So that's exciting. Even if you have never seen Hamilton or heard the music, you can now enjoy it and figure out, oh, I get what the fuss was all about from the comfort of your own couch.
And if you want more Lin-Manuel Miranda, he's going to be one of the voices in an upcoming animated special that they're doing for the series One Day at a Time.
Ah, okay. Also, what's something you can do at home? G Kids at Home. Studio Ghibli is doing a whole, backlog of all of its kids' movies that are going to be streaming, and you can do that kind of like Alamo Drafthouse is doing its own little VOD. G Kids is now doing its own VOD. Oh, back to Disney. I think it was announced just today that Artemis Fowl is going to be streaming.
Yeah.
That was a while ago they announced that.
Did they? Yeah. I don't know. Well, the date is a date, and it's June 12th. So
okay. Maybe that might be the new.
Maybe that's it. But it was supposed to be coming out theatrically on June 29th, and then moved up to June 12th.
They're also claiming that New Mutants is opening in August, but fool me 10 times, Disney.
Well, a week after the alleged Tenet release is supposed to be Mulan, so We'll see if that happens too. So instead of the Tonys on June 7th, CBS is going to air a Grease sing-along. Like, of all the musicals in all the world, like, Grease, really? I mean, trust me, when I was a little girl, I loved Grease. I had the album, I had the 8-track. I listened to it all the time, sang all those songs. I just don't know who that's for at this point.
Well, think about it though. In our lifetime, has there been a more successful screen musical based on a Broadway play? Because I can't think of one.
Based on a Broadway musical. Not Annie.
Nope. Not Cats.
Not Les Mis.
Or
right?
Phantom. Yeah, no, I mean, I think
Death of a Salesman.
I mean, also the fact that it's a Paramount movie and that Viacom owns CBS, I'm sure that, helps too. But yeah, no, I mean, I think, of art, because My Fair Lady is from before I was born. So I would say, yeah, in the time I've been on this planet, Grease is probably the most successful Broadway to Hollywood transplant.
Anyway, it's a bummer. One thing you cannot do, you can't go to the Hollywood Bowl this summer. They have canceled their entire summer season for the first time in nearly a century.
Yeah.
It's been 98 years. So that is a bummer. It's always a great Southern California thing to do, go to the bowl and, fireworks and concerts. And I think if not all, at least the vast majority of the LA Philharmonic's annual income is from their shows at the bowl.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah.
So,
well, and
they can't play at the Disney Hall at this point either.
No. And then just think of all the people. I mean, I know a lot of people who do ticket sales or pyrotechnics or all these different things at the bowl, and so that's going to screw their year up too.
People who sell picnic stuff. There's a thing on YouTube that Jim Gaffigan's doing that's kind of funny. It's this whole series of videos called "Let's Get Cookin'," and he goes into his kitchen and he makes stuff like toast and hot dogs and scrambled eggs and peas and corn and just sort of riffs. And they're very cute. And they have funny little full screen graphics that pop on the screen and comment on what he's talking about. So those are cute. And they're a fundraiser for City Harvest. So I've been watching those. And I don't really have a whole lot of news, I mean, things are in a hyper local way changing around here a little bit. As I mentioned earlier, that beaches and trails and things are starting to open, and some stores are beginning to open for curbside pickup or whatever. I went for a run on the beach down here a couple nights ago, and then again this morning, just to see what it's like. And some people are in masks and some are not. The thing with the beaches is that you're supposed to be moving. You're supposed to be doing something active like swimming or surfing or walking or running. You can't sit there and have a little picnic, or you can't lie out and get sun. But I totally saw all of that happening. On Wednesday night, it was a beautiful sunset and people were sitting there and enjoying it and having food. And I don't know who's going to police it. I mean, I guess the police. I don't know how they're going to look at 22 miles of strand that, that goes from the bottom of Torrance to the top of Santa Monica and determine everyone's behaving themselves. So things are changing a bit, but then Runyon Canyon's not open again.
Right.
Because that's just a shit show on an ordinary day. But Descanso Gardens is open. The Botanical Gardens down here by me is open. But you've got to wear masks, wherever you go. When you guys go to the outside world, are you always wearing masks?
Yes. But I'm pretty much just going to the grocery store, or either really early in the morning or at night, I'll maybe walk around the block or something.
Yeah, I'm wearing my Boba Fett helmet everywhere.
But Alonso, are you wearing a mask when you walk in your neighborhood?
Yes. Oh yeah.
And are your neighbors doing that too?
Mostly, I'm seeing an escalation over time. At first, it was few and far between, but more and more now. Because I'd always notice, and if I'm in the car or on the grocery store, you should wear a mask. Oh, you have a mask on, good. And I'm seeing more masks now.
Yeah, if I go walking around, when I walk around the block or in the mornings, I will have my mask on, and I may not be over my mouth, but as soon as I see someone, I put it up.
I see.
Even if, whether or not they have a mask, and everybody's been pretty good about maintaining at least 6 feet apart. Sabrina does not like wearing a mask.
Right. That is true. It's very sad. I am going to send you guys right now, and Matt, you are welcome to post this if you'd like. We are adopting a dog tomorrow.
Yay!
He's really freaking cute. I'm gonna send you guys a picture so you can see him right now. He is a Boston Terrier, which we've had several Boston Terriers over the years. I'm texting you guys both right now. So Matt, you're welcome to post this on the thing.
Oh,
his name is Baxter, and
or you could just hold your camera up to hold.
I could, huh? Yeah. Oh, there. Okay, there he is. Yeah, his name is Baxter.
Oh.
He's really. And he is about 6 or 7, they think, and he was a stray. He was just wandering around, but he clearly had lived with a family because the foster family who's been taking care of him says like he knows how to be part of a family and knows where the doggy door is, and he's really easygoing.
Oh, good little Baxter.
And they don't even know what his name is. He had no microchip and he had no collar, so Baxter is just the name that they gave him. But I think it's a really sweet little proper gentleman's name. And so
this is the great picture.
that's him going to the vet to get checked out to make sure he's healthy. Look
how happy he is.
He's a really sweet boy, it looks like. So Nick is like busting out of his skin. He's been wanting a dog for 3 years since we had to say goodbye to our previous Boston Terrier. So the fine folks at Boston Buddies, if you're looking for a nice doggy organization to support, Boston Buddies is a Boston Terrier rescue here. And we're going to go meet him tomorrow, bring him home.
I'm super jealous. That's awesome.
He's very cute. So that'd be good. So we'll have to go outside and walk more then. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Put a little mask on his little smushy face. So that's my news to share.
All right.
Anything else going on that folks know about?
So I didn't end up reading the whole story. I only read about half of it, but there's talk that Amazon is looking into possibly buying AMC theaters.
I saw a headline about that. I didn't know if it was for real or just mad speculation. But
no,
is it in the same way that like Netflix bought like a couple of the theater in New York and the Egyptian so that they would have like a venue for their sort of Oscar runs? Or
I think this was more like expanding a big, grander scale. But anyway, I'll read that full story and maybe we'll have a bigger update next week.
They're still just on the verge of bankruptcy, right? They have not declared.
And even if they do, it's not like that means they would immediately close their doors. It just means that their assets would be managed and blah, blah,
right.
Blah.
Chapter 11 means you're reorganizing. Probably sell off a bunch of the real estate. I mean, that was the story about how close they were from a few weeks back. Is that who knows what it is right now with certain changes to collecting rent, but in a normal season, they have to pay something like $250 million per quarter on rent for their theater locations.
Wow. Those are giant multiplexes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a lot of money.
We'll keep following that for sure.
Totally. All right. Well, hang in there, everybody. Thanks for spending another week with us. Like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us at BeFastAllDay on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And why don't you go check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. We're keeping up with FX's Mrs. America, and we've got other fun stuff there as well that's exclusive to our patrons. So give it a visit. Check it out. If you're already a Patreon member, we super appreciate it. And we'll see you guys next time.